Today we're going to go over standard form of quadratics. This is kind of what we did in class. The first thing you're going to have to know to find the axis of symmetry in the vertex is actually what the standard form of a quadratic is. Standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c, and the whole thing is equal to y. So I always say the first step is to write your formula. So if we look, this equation matches this equation. So that means I can label this 2 as an A. I can label this negative 12 as a B. And I can label 10 as a C because they're in the same order, x squared, x, constant, okay? So that's the first step. Always the first step is to go ahead and label your equation with the proper letters. All right, to find the axis of symmetry, you have to know a formula. The formula is x equals negative b over 2a. Now, when I have y'all write it, I go ahead and have you put it inside parentheses. So, negative something over 2 times something. And the reason that we do parentheses is because this negative sometimes can get lost when we see a negative here. So, it's important for the parentheses. That way we understand that this negative is separate than this negative. So b goes at the top, we find our b, it's a negative 12, it goes in the parentheses. This has an a, we go find our a is 2, so it goes in the parentheses. So then we're just going to multiply a negative times, this is kind of like saying there's a negative 1, so a negative 1 times a negative 12 would give us a positive 12. 2 times 2 is 4, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So now we know that our axis of symmetry is 3. What does that mean according to a graph? Well, here's what it means. If I have a graph right here, which I do, see? Ta-da! It's not perfect, but it's okay. It means that our axis of symmetry, which is just a line, is going to go down the x-axis at 3. So I go to my x-axis at a 3, and I try to draw a line going down. It's a dashed line, so, and of course it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. So that is an axis of symmetry. So I graphed an axis of symmetry. That's great. Now I need to go find the vertex of the quadratic. To find the vertex, I use this x here, and I'm going to plug it in. A vertex is a point. Normally, it was going to have your answer from here, which is a 3. Whatever answer is here would go here because it says x equals, and this is our x. Our y is here. We have to go find that y. Well, luckily, at the very top, it says y equals this equation. So what we can do is we can take that equation that we have and write it right here. So here we go. Y equals 2 times whatever x is squared minus 12 times whatever x is plus 10. So I can take my answer from here and plug it into these parentheses. So a 3 would go here, and a 3 would go here. And I'm plugging them in because our actual equation says x, therefore I'm plugging in our x into the x. So now we're going to work it out. 3 squared is 9. Negative 12 times 3 would be negative 36, and this plus 10 can come down. So now I have 2 times 9, which is 18, minus 36 plus 10. I always tell y'all that if you see negatives and positives that can be combined, let's combine them. This is a positive right here. This is a positive right here. 18 plus 10 is 28 minus 36. Well, the little number is on the top. That means it's going to automatically be a negative. So 36 minus 28 is a negative 8. So I found the y, because this is our y, that's what we were trying to find, y equals. So therefore y equals negative 8, so I can go plug in y equals negative 8. What that means on the graph is that I'm going to go to 3, negative 8, and I'm going to put a point. So 3, negative 8, and I'm going to put a point. That is my vertex. Right here is my vertex, okay? Now, to tell if a graph is positive or negative, we look at this initial first number. This first number up here is a positive 2. Positive means our graph will open upwards, kind of like a U. So obviously right now I'm not trying to teach you how to plot the points and everything else. We're just understanding what the graph would look like. So this would be a positive parabola with a vertex of 3, -8, and an axis of symmetry at 3. Okay? I'm going to do another one for y'all. All right. Same thing. First thing you do is write your standard form of a quadratic. Standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c is all equal to y. Now, if I look at this equation does not match our standard form. It's missing a b. We have the a, we have the c, we're missing a b. So it's very simple. If you're missing something, then you have 0 of it. So we can rewrite this equation to say y equals x squared plus 0 x's minus 4. Yeah? Okay? Excuse me. So, oh, thank you, Annabella. You straightened it? Okay. So now that I have this equation, I'm not so much worried about this one. I have the new one that I like. So again, I'm going to, first things first, I'm going to label. So if there's nothing in front of x, that would be a 1. That's our a. That 0 would be our b. And this -4 would be our c. To find the axis of symmetry, we have to know that formula. X equals -b over 2a. I have us write it in parentheses, not to mess up the negatives. We're going to plug in our b. Our b is a 0. Our a is a 1. And we're going to work it out. -0, there's no such thing. It's just 0. 2 times 1 is 2. Anything divided by 0 is 0. So that means our axis of symmetry would be 0. So that means we're going to go to the x-axis, go to 0. All right, and draw a line going straight down. Well, for us, that would be our, here we go. So we're going over the y-axis because on the x-axis, 0 would be the y-axis. So that's fine, no big deal. Now we need to go find the vertex. Now again, for the vertex, we have to have a couple of things. We have to have our original equation up here, and we have to have our x equals. So let's go and write our original equation, which was x squared plus 0 times whatever x was minus 4. And we got that equation right here, but in place of x's, we just put our parentheses. So now what we can do is we can plug in our x that we found into the parentheses. So 0 would plug in here, 0 would plug in here. Just go ahead and work that out. 0 squared is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. Minus 4 is a -4. So now our vertex, we're going to combine this right here, which is our x, which is 0. And we're going to combine our, our x from our axis of symmetry and our y right here to get our vertex. So that would be at 0, -4. So I'm going to go put a dot at 0, -4. Good to go. Also, I'm going to look at my original equation. If I notice my original equation, the a is positive. So again, that means that my parabola would open upwards. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this here for a second so you can kind of see it. I hope that helps. Let me know if you need help with anything. Again, step 1, write our formula. Step 2, make sure we have A, B, and C. Label them. Step 3, axis of symmetry formula. Make sure that we put them in parentheses. Plug in the proper numbers. Solve for x. Then we're going to go ahead and take that x answer. We're going to plug it in for the x of the vertex. And then we're going to plug it back into the original equation to solve to find our y. And then this would be our vertex. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Have a good night.
Bye.